everybody, it's Sam Amico with another Hoops Wire Live on 3:30 to go. The Cleveland Cavaliers are no longer this season, having been eliminated by the Indiana Pacers in 5 disappointing games. I think that we're all aware of that. I said this the other day. I think it must have been on Full Court Cleveland that, and I've said it on this very podcast show. The second best thing to winning a championship is a regular season full of fun. But I'm going to add a little asterisk next to that and say, unless you don't get as far as you were hoping to. So I didn't come into this season at all having any illusions that the Cavs might win a championship this year. I thought as the regular season went on that they could. But, I certainly didn't think that they would be eliminated in the second round. I watched a lot of the Pacers games in the first round, and I thought these guys are going to give the Cavs more trouble than people realize because of the fact that they played so well against Milwaukee. Indiana had since January 1st, if you include the playoffs, has the second best record in the NBA. After the Thunder. So they had a better record than the Cavs and the Celtics since January 1st. So I thought that series was going to be tough, but I thought the Cavs would win in 6 or 7. I actually went 7 because I was like, I think every team's going to win their home games. This is obviously going in the series. Clearly, I was terribly wrong on that. People have asked me what went wrong. I think number one, I think you have to tip your cap to the Pacers, the way that they were able to, elite shot making. And I think any little flaw that the Cavs had, the Pacers exposed. So what are those flaws? How do the Cavs go about correcting them? People are asking me, what now? What do the Cavs do now? Now, I won't get too deep into the salary cap, even though I have a much better understanding of it than I had ever hoped. But let's start here. I had more fun covering this team in my, 18, 19 years than I've ever had covering a team. I enjoyed being around the players and the coaching staff. And trust me, I always loved my job. But it was never as much fun as this year, just because of the quality of individuals that I covered. I also think my age helps a little bit because when I go in the locker room now, I'm one of the older guys, and I think that the Cavs kind of look at me as like their favorite uncle as opposed to a peer. I was going to say grandpa, but I'm not ready to go that far yet. But yeah, I have kids that are close to some of the Cavaliers' age, so I know where I stand. But that aside, I was just really impressed with the unity, the camaraderie, the friendships that these guys have, togetherness, and just really, I give Kobe Altman a great deal of credit, the president of basketball operations, Kobe Altman, and of course, general manager Mike Gansey, who is a former Olmsted Falls high school star and West Virginia University star, and is just both are great guys. Mike in particular is just a great guy. And I give credit to them for building and creating a culture that is incredibly strong. And I think that counts for a lot. Clearly, it didn't count for enough this season, right? I think Game 2 really killed the Cavs when they didn't have Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter. They still should have won that game at home. And then to go down 2-0 after 2 games at home, I think I had a list on HoopsWire. Only 7 teams in the history of the NBA since 1946 have come back from a 2-0 deficit after losing both games at home. the first two. So, it was a long shot there. Even when they went down 3-1 and had that terrible game 4 loss in Indiana, I still thought this team's certainly capable of winning 3 in a row. When I'm talking about the Cavs, because 2 of those, and Kenny Atkinson would point out, if we get there, we'd have 2 at home. Well, the Cavs lost all 3 home games in the series, which was very uncharacteristic of them. So what went wrong and how did they fix it? I think there are a number of options. Now, what went wrong is they didn't match Indiana physicality. As we saw, Indiana was way more physical. They were continuously beating up the Cavs. The Cavs were struggling to get the ball up the court when Indiana would press because their guards were physical. They played playoff style basketball, which by that I mean you're able to get away with a lot more in the playoffs. The Cavs outside shooting totally deserted them as well. I think people are like, well, what happened there? The reality is they had such a hard time and really had to struggle to get the basketball up the court and to get into their sets. By the time they got to shot, I think they were just worn out. Donovan Mitchell shot, and he was amazing. Amazing. So this is not a criticism. This is just a reality looking at the numbers. His shot deserted him. His perimeter shot deserted him pretty much after the All-Star break. Kenny Atkinson came in this year. What a magnificent job he did. But he came in this year at the start of the season. He said historically this core, which would be Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, who had 2 previous seasons together. He said, in the 2 years that Donovan Mitchell's been in Cleveland, and this wasn't an indictment of Donovan Mitchell. He didn't mention Donovan Mitchell, but this is what Kenny Atkinson was talking about. The Cavs have played their best basketball after or before the All-Star break. Well, it was kind of the case again this year, right? 15-0 to start the season, a 12-game winning streak after that. Then they had the All-Star break, and in there, they won 16 in a row during that stretch. So it looked like they were going to be able to play some of their best basketball after the All-Star break this year. And they did play better basketball after the break this year than they have in the previous 2. But the result is the same, So lost in the second round last year, lost in the second round this year. I would say this year was considerably more a disappointment, losing in the second round. Last year, they lost to the defending champs. I think the Pacers can win the championship, by the way. But I don't think it's, they've got their work cut out for them because they're not going to have a home court advantage in any series probably moving forward unless they play the Minnesota Timberwolves in the finals, who were a 6th seed. And who had is a saying on your bingo card? I don't know. I've only played bingo once in my life, and it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I won the first time. And I also was the youngest person in there by like 37 years. So I think the other people in there, bless them, but they probably still don't know I won. But hey, it ended up I got a pick of any prize I wanted, and I took a basketball hoop. Unfortunately, I haven't set it up. But anyway, who had on their bingo card the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Indiana Pacers being the lone repeat conference finalists in 2025? Now, the Celtics could still do it. I doubt it without Jason Tatum. That's what's so unfortunate about the Cavs. And look, this is terrible what happened to Jason Tatum, right? Achilles tear. None of us in the 330 to go probably care for the Celtics. But that's awful. Tearing his Achilles, I just look at it like, boy, the Cavs, if they could have got past the Pacers, they wouldn't even have had to deal with the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they did, it would be a Jason Tatum-less Celtics. So the window was very open this year, but could have, would have, should have. Anyway, so I think this year was just more disappointing than last season, simply because the Cavs did not. They were favored to beat the Pacers, and it was really a meltdown. The fact that they couldn't hit open shots. I was asked last night, I did a thing on Fox 8, and PJ Ziegler asked me, do you think Kenny Atkinson was outcoached? No, I don't. I think that Rick Carlisle's an outstanding coach, a championship coach, but I think Kenny Atkinson did a good job, but he can't go out there and make baskets, and the Cavs could not make buckets. The defense, they would play off Halliburton a little bit in that game 5. The one game the Cavs won, it was because they were able to control Tyrese Halliburton. Remember, he had like 4 points and 5 assists or something in game 3 when the Cavs won in Indianapolis. The rest of the series, Halliburton was MVP of the series. You can't have that. So the Pacers, very much as talented as they are, they go as Halliburton goes. So what are the Cavs going to do? We know what happened. We saw what happened. We know it's a disappointment. For me, when they lost game 2, I was just like, well, I still think they could win this series if they get their guys back. And they got their guys back, and it really didn't, except for game 3, it didn't help. And I know, Darius Garland's toe was clearly bothering him. He could not plant or his shot was off. It was tough to watch because he wasn't the same as he was in the regular season. Is he durable enough? I don't know. I don't have the answers to these things, but I can tell you this. As disappointed as the fans are, the players and the organization are more disappointed. Excuse me. And they're looking at ways to get better. Now, if you read Hoops Wire Live, which I know you all do, we've had story after story about the salary cap situation, and the Cavs do have a cap crunch. Listen, here's what they can do. They can trade this is all because of the new labor rules, which are a lot different than before. It's a lot more difficult to make trades when you're over the salary cap and into what is known as the second salary apron. That's where the Cavs are, because Evan Mobley just got a big bonus for being named Defensive Player of the Year. That counts toward the salary cap. So all of these things considered, here's what they can do. They can trade a player, but they have to take back the same amount of salary. So it doesn't have to be totally hypothetical. If they were to trade Jared Allen, they could get 2 guys as long as the salary matched. Those are things. Do I think they're going to explore that? Very little. I think that they look at it like, look, we were 64-18. A lot of things went right. What do we have to fix? Number one, I think everybody knows they have to find a playable backup center. Somebody who's like Thomas Bryant. If you watch the Pacers, who would come cheap. I'm not saying Thomas Bryant, but guys like him. I don't think that the Cavs are looking at any big splashy moves unless one falls in their lap. They will explore things. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If you are waiting for the Cavs, if you say, hey, they need to trade Jared Allen and they need to trade Darius Garland, I'm not necessarily in that camp. But if you can make a splash with one of those things, yes. Don't just trade him. And I can guarantee you this, with perspective and reason, They're not going to just trade Jared Allen or Darius Garland to unload them. If they trade them, they want what is on paper a clear win. I don't think that they think, well, the Darius Garland experiment has come to an end. No, he came off, he had an amazing regular season. When he played in the playoffs, he was pretty good, except for those last 2 games against Indiana. You can't, I'll say this as a criticism of Darius Garland, you cannot turn the ball over on the first possession like he did in games 4 and 5. Game 4 in Indiana, he came down, dribbled the ball off his shoe, went out of bounds. That set the tone for the game. Game 5, gets the ball, throws it away. First possession. You can't do that. You have to take care of the ball. And this is something we've been talking about with Darius Garland, and I love him. But this is something we've been talking about with him since, before Donovan Mitchell came 2 years ago. Turnovers cannot, your point guard who has the ball 90% of the time to start the offense has to be able to take care of the ball and value possessions. So look, the Cavs really like Darius Garland. There are many things he can do. Number one, when healthy, he gets to wherever he wants on the court. Nobody can defend him or keep him from doing that. Okay? That's a positive. His outside shot, when healthy, was much improved this year. Okay? He was one of the most clutch players in the NBA. If you look at they keep stats on clutch performances. That means making big baskets or game-winning shots. He was the Cavs' Mr. Fourth Quarter during the regular season. He really was. He was great in the clutch when the games were close and the Cavs needed a basket. Those are all 3 incredibly positive things. Negatives, he's never going to be a great defender. It's just not who he is. He's not built for it. So his defense is lacking. Some of you may say that's putting it too kindly, but that's what I'll say. His defense is lacking. And there's too many turnovers from a point guard. His turnovers are down this year. That's a positive. But there's too many still for your point guard. So I don't think, look, and here's the other thing that is kind of worrisome. The backcourt is incredibly small when you talk about Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, in comparison to other backcourts. Max Strus is a small power forward. That said, the Cavs and Jared Allen clearly, to me, wears down later in the year and struggles against guys like Miles Turner, who is athletic and can go out and shoot threes. That said, I'm not like the Cavs have to shake up their core. I would like to see them go into next season, and I love Max Strus. I thought he had a great series until Game 5 when he went 0 of 9 from the field, but that's Max's MO. When he played for the Heat, he would be on fire one game. We saw in the finals, one finals game, he went 0 of 11 from the field. Cavs, closing game or elimination game, he went 0 of 9. He is the one guy who offers toughness, constant hustle, defense. I mean, he does everything. And when he's knocking down shots, he's invaluable, as he was in Game 3 when the Cavs won in Indianapolis. That said, I think the Cavs, if they run it back, which I would be okay with, but if they run it back, I want to see DeAndre Hunter starting at small forward. I know that's going to be tough on Max. He's not going to want to lose his starting role. But I think that you need to give yourself more size right off the bat. And I'm willing to run it back because of DeAndre Hunter, and I think he'll be better with a full season with his new teammates. So, and listen, this is all thinking way ahead because we have May. Well, I'm not going to count May because we're almost over. June, July, August, September, October. We have 5 months. We got about 5 or 6 Browns game before they even go back to camp, before the Cavs even go back to camp, which I'm not thrilled with. I don't have high hopes for the Browns, sorry. But don't bother me while I'm watching the games. We know that. So anyway, yeah, thank you. Yes, do not. And it's for your own good not to talk to me during Browns games. Because, the kids are walking around the house like, what's wrong with Dad? Oh, the Browns are on. It's typical. So anyway, there's a lot that can happen for the Cavaliers between now and training camp October 1st. And I think that that's a great question. I'll get to that in a second. Backup true point guard. I think running it back is okay with a mere exception that you cannot go into next season with no backup center or power forward, no playable. Tristan Thompson was on the team. We all love Tristan. I'm not saying you got to cut him, but they've got to get somebody in that position that they feel comfortable playing. That's only going to help Jared Allen. Kenny Atkinson, I thought, did a great job of rotating and platooning Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and Dean Wade. You need to find a guy. He can be a guy on a veteran minimum deal. He can be an old guy. By old, I mean early to mid 30s. He could be a Thomas Bryant type. They have to go find that guy. They cannot come back with Tristan Thompson as their only option as backup center because they're not going to play him. He's there for camaraderie, leadership. Those are all very valuable things. Don't get me wrong. I've heard it told to me, Tristan's the only guy Darius listens to. So Tristan Thompson has value. Maybe you bring him back as an assistant coach. I don't want to say too much because anything I say, Tristan gets on me about. Hey, so you think they're going to cut me? So, I mean, the reality is you have to find somebody there that you're comfortable playing and somebody who's decent. Last year, for instance, not this past season, the season before, I thought sign DeMarcus Cousins. He's sitting at home. He brings what? Attitude and ability as a backup center and power forward. And he would come for the veterans minimum. Well, DeMarcus Cousins has since retired, but there are plenty of other guys out there like him. If you check hoopswire.com, every day we update our list of 2025 free agents, and we do it by position. So you can check there who is going to be available this summer. And you're saying, well, the Cavs are up against the cap. Are they going to be able to sign anybody? The short answer is yes. Now, we have some free agents if you're the Cavs, right? But before I get to that, let me just say this. I'm okay with running it back. Here are a few things I want to see that I think are necessary. Number one, you got to get that backup big guy. That killed him. The Pacers were a perimeter-oriented team for the most part, but they had no one to put in for Strus. Look, this is nothing against Dean Wade. He's more of a small forward in style, and he does a wonderful job defensively. He gives you nothing offensively. He doesn't make turnovers. He keeps the ball moving, but he gives you nothing beyond that offensively. So I want to see them get a true backup center / power forward type. Doesn't have to be somebody who can hit threes. I don't care about that. but it has to be somebody who offers attitude, toughness, rebounding, and can get you 6 points in 15 minutes, 20 minutes of play. And it has to be somebody who plays. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think Jalen Tyson, who is a rookie, should get Isaac Okoro's minutes next year, all during the regular season. I'm not saying Isaac Okoro. He's going to definitely be a trade candidate. They're not going to get much for Isaac Okoro. Again, this is nothing personal against Isaac Okoro. It's just that time has passed. Okay? We've seen what he can do, and he is one of their best defenders, without question. He's a liability offensively. They've given him, 4 or 5 years now to make open threes from the corner. He's not going to knock those down. The time is up. I think Jalen Tyson, who was a rookie this year and understandably did not get a lot of minutes because he was a rookie on a team that pretty much had a veteran-laden team. But he's physical. He's big. He can handle the ball. He can distribute. He's never, to me, he doesn't look like he's going to be on his way to becoming an NBA All-Star, but I think he could be a valuable contributor, and he defends. I think during the regular season, he has to get those minutes of Isaac Okoro. I could see, look, last offseason, the Charlotte Hornets and Detroit Pistons, J.B. Bickerstaff, were very interested in Isaac Okoro and signing him. Now you might be able to trade him. And because of your salary cap situation, you'd have to take money back. But I think that's okay. I would say trade him for a second-round pick, but because of your salary cap situation and new labor rules, you can't. You've got to take money back. You've got to fill in Okoro's money. Now, okay. So those are the two big things to me. Now, we just had a comment, backup point guard. Okay, yes. I mean, that is a great point. I think that, what is Craig Porter Jr.'s role? I really like what I see from him in limited minutes. He has to continue to hit that outside shot consistently, but what a magnificent athlete. He gets after it. I mean, this guy can jump out of the gym. He is undersized. He's not a great ball handler. He's almost like a 6-foot shooting guard because of his leaping ability. Again, he just completed his second year. Tyson completed his first. I think these guys are ready. If you don't think so and you're the Cavs, then you have to move on and fill those spots. Because I don't think Isaac Okoro is going to answer that. Ty Jerome, free agent. He lost money in that round against the Pacers. He had a terrible round, he was great against the Heat. He was great all regular season. He was decent in game 5 against the Pacers. They game planned for him. They got physical with him. And, I still think that the Cavs are going to bring Ty Jerome back. I think that they'll have the finances to do it. And I don't think they're going to have to overpay him. So I think Ty Jerome is going to come back. I think Ty Jerome is going to come back because, number one, his best friend in the world, and DeAndre Hunter, is on the team. And he loved playing with him. Number two, he had a magnificent year all the way till the Indiana series. Okay, this was Ty Jerome's first playoffs of his career. I'm going to give him a pass because of his body of work. Okay, so I think he'll be back. Sam Merrill, also an unrestricted free agent. I don't know. I can't get a feel for that. I haven't asked the front office. I've given people time to breathe. Kobe Altman's season-ending press conference is Monday at 11 a.m. I hope at the practice facility and not Rocket Arena. Drive's just shorter from the 330. But that's Monday at 11 a.m. Kobe Altman will address the media. I'm sure we'll ask about free agency and what might await there. He's obviously not going to say a ton, but he's going to say, I guarantee, yeah, we want Ty Jerome back. We're going to do everything we can to get Ty Jerome back. And they probably want Sam Merrill back too. Can you upgrade over Sam Merrill? Okay, again, theoretically you hope. But reality is, whatever you're going to pay Sam Merrill, you might not even be able to pay anyone else. So say you give Sam Merrill a deal for $2 million a year, $3 million a year. You can only sign Sam Merrill to that. You can't go out and find somebody else that you could pay $3 million a year because of the labor restrictions and because of the Cavs cap situation, salary cap situation. So they would only be able to sign a guy to a veteran minimum. Now, is a guy on a veteran minimum going to be better than Sam Merrill? Possibly. I'm not going to rule that out. But maybe not. And the new guy is not going to be as familiar with Sam Merrill. I think Sam Merrill was outstanding this year, except for the fact he couldn't hit shots. Who would think that we would ever say that about Sam Merrill, who came into this season as a three-point specialist? That's all really that he offered. This year, I haven't looked up the stats, but of the regulars, he probably, throughout the course of the year, had the worst three-point shooting percentage on the team, but offered so many other things intangible-wise that Kenny Atkinson couldn't keep him off the court, even though he couldn't make a shot. What if Sam Merrill comes back with the intangibles and makes shots next year? He'd be a bargain, an absolute bargain. So I think, they're not going to upgrade to a point considerably where they can just let Sam Merrill walk or Ty Jerome walk. They could do maybe a sign and trade with Ty Jerome if it came to it. If Ty Jerome, the Brooklyn Nets have all kinds of cap space. The Detroit Pistons theoretically are going to have all kinds of cap space. I don't think you want to trade Ty Jerome to Detroit. I don't think he'd want to go there. And that's nothing against anything in Detroit. I just don't think that would be. But the Pistons would love to have him as a backup to Cade Cunningham. They'd love him. The only other team I see, and this is if they make some clear changes that would have, two places actually, besides Detroit and Brooklyn, that would have Ty Jerome on the radar would be the Phoenix Suns, who may just gut the roster. But again, they're in no position salary-wise to be able to sign anybody, but a sign and trade could be possible. And the Houston Rockets. Rockets had a great regular season, bounced in the first round. Very inexperienced team. They're going to have probably a ton of cap space should they opt to go that route. But nobody's going to mortgage their salary cap for Ty Jerome. They're just not going to. He's a backup guard. He had a wonderful season, fantastic season, important season. Nobody's going to mortgage their salary cap for him, though, because he's not a starter. He might be a starter in Charlotte, or Washington. Washington is one place Ty Jerome could go and start. You know what? Myself, Steve Bader, my producer, and probably my 8-year-old right now could go to the Washington Wizards and they would hand us uniforms and say, get in there and let's see what you got. But how did the Wizards not, or the Utah Jazz or the Hornets not win the lottery? Dallas Mavericks. People are like, oh, it's rigged because the Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers. So the NBA wanted to reward them by giving them the number 1 pick overall because they've been through so much grief. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not completely ruling that out. I think the NBA lottery leaves itself open to question. And I think that you have to have the lottery redo if you're going to do the lottery, which is stupid. Here's what I said from day one. The lottery doesn't keep teams from tanking. That was its purpose. It doesn't do that. All it's saying now is, well, we're not going to reward you for tanking. Do you think any team that's tanking wants to do it? The Washington Wizards could say, you know what? We're going to go out and win games. It's still not going to happen. People are like, oh, they're tanking. They're not playing their starters. I'm like, have you seen their starters play? There's no tanking involved here. They just stink. Some teams just stink. So if you want to balance the power in the NBA, you have to let these teams that stink. The NFL does it every year. They don't have a lottery. The biggest losers win. You're the biggest loser in the league. Good luck with that. You've lost all kinds of money. You have no merchandise sales. And you're probably wondering when you're going to go out of business. Fine. But take the number one pick. That's fine. Or just have a lottery of the 3 worst teams. Everybody else drafts 4 to 30 in the first round. 3 worst teams, lottery. I'd be fine with that. They each get 1 ping pong ball. If you want to go 4 worst, you could stretch it out. Anyway, I think the lottery leaves itself open to question. And I've heard these reporters, Yahoo Sports or ESPN, like, no, I was in the room. I saw the ping pong balls, come out. That doesn't mean anything. Didn't you see the movie starring John Travolta, I believe? And the girl from Friends, the blonde-headed girl, Lisa Kudrow. It was about a true story of a Pittsburgh weatherman who he put ink in the lottery balls to make them pop up a certain way so that he could give the winnings to his girlfriend. And this went on for years. The one thing I will say is it would have to be like Adam Silver doing the weighting of the lottery balls, because by this time you would have a whistleblower. You would have a book. You would have a whistleblower, because you can't really keep these things that much of a secret unless the NBA has so much money. You're saying, here's $5 million not to tell anybody. But I doubt that's the case. I don't think it's rigged. I do think that the league opens itself up into question. Cooper Flagg, the number 1 pick, who's going to be the number 1 pick. What a great situation for him to go to, assuming the Mavericks keep that pick, which I'm assuming they will do. Ran a story with Rich Paul on hoopswire.com the other day where he said I don't think there's any way they trade that pick. He's like that, and that's a great situation for Cooper Flagg. As an 18-year-old going to that situation with veterans Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, fellow Dookie, when Kyrie Irving comes back from his ACL next year. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson will be there still. Even though, as one GM told me brutally honestly, I think Klay's ready for the basketball scrap heap. It's not nice. I've been ready for the scrap heap for 20 years. And no one's throwing me out as far as I know. Except for maybe after this show. I always have that great anxiety that after the show they'll be like, great run. Thank you for joining us. Please, we'll probably never see you again. Anyway, so I think Cooper Flagg's going to be a great fit in Dallas because he's going to have an opportunity to learn alongside veterans, whereas opposed if he went somewhere like the miserable Washington Wizards, who have no hope of anything ever. Haven't won 50 games in a season since 1979. I don't even know that they've been to the conference finals. They've been to the conference finals since 1979? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I don't know. 1979, they lost in the finals to the Seattle Supersonics. 1978, the Wizards, then known as the Bullets, beat the Sonics. Those were their last 2 big runs. I mean, we're talking about bell bottoms and disco. You know, that's how long ago that was. Farrah Fawcett was everybody's love interest. $6 million man. I keep going. I'll spare you. Turning our attention back to the Cavaliers. And that's, I always say, you know, when people are like, oh, the Cavs need to do this, they need to do that, and they're so angry. Like, just be thankful they're not the Washington Wizards, Charlotte Hornets, or Utah Jazz. I love, you know, people about this are a lot more disappointed than I am. I was disappointed in the years that the Cavs, I felt like they definitely should have won the finals and didn't get LeBron enough help after that 2016 championship when they had to trade Kyrie Irving. I felt like they should have made some other moves, but regardless, you know, you can't always make a move, by the way. You can't just unload guys. You have to get something back to improve your team. And you can't force another team to make a trade with you. That's what people don't understand. The Cavs could call the New Orleans Pelicans and say, we want to trade Jared Allen to you for Zion Williamson or whatever. The Cavs could call the New Orleans Pelicans and say, we want to trade Jared Allen to you for Jonas Valanciunas and your other center. The Pelicans could say, no, we're not doing that. The Cavs would be like, why not? It's a great trade for you. Pelicans say, we don't want to. I'm not saying that's a conversation. I'm saying people don't understand. You can't go to the dance and force someone to dance with you. You've got to get them you got to ask and have them say yes. For the record, my batting percentage on that was like 2080 during my youth. I don't know that it would be much better now, but that's the thing. You have to have somebody who's willing to trade with you. If you're insisting that the Cavs go out and make a trade, okay. Line up the trade. Go talk to the other team. Convince them to do it. You may think you have the best trade in the world. But the other team says no, guess what? And I can tell you this. It happens a lot. It happens way more than actual trades. During the NBA trade deadline, if you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, and I'm coming up on 45 minutes here, so I'm going to wrap this up. But if you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, general managers are on the phone, just like Brad Pitt was playing Billy Beane, the Oakland Athletics general manager at the time, taking a call, hanging up, calling somebody else, hanging up, calling somebody else, getting a call, going back and forth, round and round it goes. Usually don't end up making the deal. So, listen, I'm good. We're going to wrap this up. I'm good if the Cavs run it back. I really am, with a few exceptions. More minutes for Jalen Tyson. I think that's a priority, crazy as it sounds. But I think that the Isaac Okoro experiment is over. Thank you, Isaac. Wonderful guy. It's time to move on. Your ceiling, we can now accept you've hit your ceiling. Jalen Tyson already, I think, offers more than Isaac Okoro. Now, I can understand not playing him in front of Isaac Okoro because he didn't have that experience. Next year's a year, you put Jalen Tyson out there and you get him that experience. 20, 25 minutes a game. He's in the rotation. Craig Porter Jr. probably deserves more time, depending on what happens with Ty Jerome. If Ty Jerome leaves, you still have to get another bigger backcourt player. You have to. You have 2 6'1" guards. Right? Ty Jerome is 6'5". They list him at 6'5". He's probably closer to 6'3.5". Whatever. His size is fine. So if you get him back, I would say that's fine. Your backcourt's fine. Craig Porter Jr., more minutes. Or Jalen Tyson, more backcourt minutes. Jalen Tyson can back up power or small forward, shooting guard, can handle the ball. other teams get physical with him, he's got the size and the strength not to be deterred. I like that pick. After seeing Jalen Tyson play this year, when he played with the Cavs, I liked that pick. I think the Cavs made a great pick with him. And I think he's going to be an NBA player and contributor, and he can be on this team. I don't want to oversell him, but I think that that's important next year. You've got to give these guys some run. We know what Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade can do. They offer things. Don't get me wrong. You need upgrades over Okoro and Wade. If you're going to run it back, which I think they are. I really do. I think they are. That's fine. I'd like to see DeAndre Hunter start. I'm not saying that's a must, but I think that that's something that they will think long and hard about, because then you have some length and toughness in the front court right off the bat. Who wouldn't want, Allen Mobley, who's vastly improved, wonderful season from him. He was the one guy, he and Donovan Mitchell, every night that they played, you could count on them. So, who wouldn't want a starting lineup of Allen, Mobley, DeAndre Hunter? DeAndre Hunter's 6'9". He's a legit 6'9". He's almost as tall as Jared Allen, who's probably 6'9.5". So, I think that that's a route that they need to go. And DeAndre Hunter is a better defender than anybody on the team, frankly, when it comes to versatility and being able to defend, 4 positions. So I think that that's a must. I don't think that's a must, but I think that would be great. But I think the must is playing those 2 younger guys. And if you don't have Craig Porter Jr. there, go out and get another younger guy with size. I like Craig Porter Jr. Would like to see him stay. May not fit their needs. Sam Merrill. Upgrade there if you can. I don't know if you can. You might not be able to, but he has to find his outside shot. You have to believe this guy is going to find his shot again, because that's what he did so well. So, on that note, I do think that there are changes coming. I don't think they're going to be anything that's going to shock anybody. I think Kenny Atkinson deserves another year with this team to see what those next steps can do, what they can be. He's a fantastic coach. I like JB Bickerstaff. I think JB's a very good coach. I think Kenny Atkinson is the best coach that they've had probably since Lenny Wilkens. And that's high praise, because I really thought highly of JB Bickerstaff, and I'm sure a few others in there between Lenny Wilkens, which was 30 years ago, and now. Next year, this upcoming season is the 10-year anniversary, believe it or not, of the championship season. I think it's a perfect time for the Cavs to win another. And I'm not giving up on them. Nor should you. This team is going to be back. They gave a wonderful, wonderful regular season. Disappointment, yes. Disappointment's not all there was. They can still take the next step, and they can do it together. It's got to be a few changes. Doesn't have to be any sweeping. So, 10-year anniversary coming up. What better time to win championship? Thanks so much for sticking with me for 45, 50 minutes. And believe it or not, if they don't fire me after the show, I will be back next week. Same time, same bat channel. We will talk to you then. Thanks for joining.